Welcome back to Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes. This is the talk. We have Tech's kit reveal, we have the release of Hunter in-game, and in between Hunter's kit reveal and Tech's kit reveal, we had a developer insights about Hunter. So today we had the marquee event. It's going on for 28 days, which is exceedingly long for a marquee. I think what that is really about is they're hoping Bad Batch brings in a lot of old players back into the game, gives them a chance to unlock Hunter as the Bad Batch premiere approaches. So with Hunter, there's a few things I want to keep in mind before we break down Tech's kit in the way that we do on this channel. So it all comes down to the leadership. There's several conditional elements here to his kit to keep in mind, but the biggest portion of it, the one that's relevant to Tech, is while Bad Batch allies use an ability on a target lock enemy, they can't be countered. So I was speculating during Hunter's kit reveal that was going to relate to the snipery guy. I forget his name right now, but it looks like Tech is going to be one who applies target lock, so the other guy is probably going to be the one who does evasion up, and then defense up I think is still going to be Wrecker. The other aspect of Hunter's kit is with his first special, Shrouded Approach. This ability here applies stealth, but also has a condition here on the Omega. If Hunter was already stealthed, all Bad Batch allies gain crit chance up and offense up. Now with Tech's kit, we have another ability that applies stealth, which will help guarantee that this ability applies those buffs if we get the sequencing and timing of their turns set up correctly. I'm not convinced that's the turn order we want. That's going to have to depend on the other kits that we'll be seeing. But so far, it looks like maybe Tech first, then Hunter. But that's something to keep an eye out on. So now let's get to Tech's kit breakdown with those aspects in mind. On this channel, this is how we like to break down kits. We want to separate all the verbiage from CG and just extract the key words that explain what's going on here. So we have a targeted attack that inflicts target lock with a conditional of if there was already target lock applied, there's a secondary attack. That's similar to Hunter, where he does basically the same thing with expose. The first special here, Delicate Operation. Tech plus a target clone ally recover 40% health, doubled if it's a Bad Batch clone. Gain stealth, potency up, translation. If Tech is already stealthed, all Bad Batch allies gain translation. Second special, Brilliant Idea, is a dispel on all the clones, and Bad Batch allies gain foresight, tenacity up, and stealth. That's that stealth I was talking about in regards to Hunter. That's also an AoE attack that inflicts stun if an enemy was already dazed or target locked. So just like with Hunter, we now have another ability that is inflicting stun with a condition. So there's now multiple abilities to help control the field. Now the unique Zeta Clone Interpreter. At the start of the battle, if it's all clone allies, Tech gains stealth and gains +1 speed for each clone, doubled if it's Bad Batch. Tech will gain +25 potency for each stack of translation, and then clones gain translation with the use of a special action, and if they already have translation, the duration of translation will be reset, and that's a 3-set or a 3-turn translation. There's another conditional here that we'll take a look at when we look at CG's post. Now we're going to break down CG's post about Tech in more detail. First thing I want to pay attention here is in this graphic. Take a look at under releases. The final Bad Batch character is being released now on May 4th. That is a change from Hunter's kit reveal, where that date was April 29th. So we're already looking at a 5-day delay on that final character reveal. That's something to keep in mind. Now what we're looking at here with Tech is a support character who applies translation. It's the first character outside of C-3PO to do that. It's going to work in a very similar way, but let's keep that in mind when we discuss the specials. Right now with the basic, call the shot. We talked about this with the breakdown. The part I didn't really clarify here during that breakdown was the way this attack works is you target the enemy, apply target lock, and you're also applying target lock to the healthiest enemy that didn't already have it. Now and then there's a second aspect here of if the target enemy already had target lock, you get to attack again. That's similar to how Hunter is working with Expose. First special here, Delicate Operation. Tech and a target clone ally are going to recover health doubled if that target is Bad Batch. Then gain stealth, potency up for 2 turns, and translation for 3 turns. If Tech was already stealthed, all the Bad Batch allies gain translation for 3 turns. So that is pretty important and something to keep in mind with the second ability and with Hunter's kit, because Hunter also had an ability that applied stealth to all the clones. So it's going to be a question of turn order here between these two characters, and I'm not convinced that we know yet how we want to go about it, because although it might seem like you want this ability to go first, the clones also gain stacks of translation when they're using specials. It might be fine to wait at that point to allow other characters to go first and then do this mass translation up once other turn orders happen. I think we need to wait until the kit reveals to really have a better idea of that. With the second special here, dispel all debuffs from clone trooper allies. All Bad Batch allies are gaining Foresight, Tenacity up, and Stealth. And then we're dealing special damage to all enemies and inflicting a stun. So this part of the kit is really emphasizing what I was talking about last week, where I think this is really going to be a very PvE heavy team that is really designed for light side geos. And I think we're seeing a lot of abilities here that are going to control separatists and droids, and there's with all these conditional elements and with all these elements here that require certain turns and sequences to unlock, that's telling me you're going to need something that takes a long time and a lot of turns, like light side geos, and it's going to be offensive only. I don't see AI handling this well on defense, and I think at best we're looking at like a General Grievous counter. I'm not convinced that this is going to be a good PvP team outside of that specific General Grievous situation. I think Jedi Knight Revan is going to be able to handle this team pretty well. I think CLS is going to handle this team pretty well, and any of the other meta teams I think are not going to have too much trouble with it. We'll talk about that more in a second when we go to the developer insights. Now here with the unique, at the start of battle, Tech gains +1 speed for each ally. It's doubled for the Bad Batch. We're looking at all these other conditional aspects with the translation. The one part here we didn't emphasize before that I wanted to pull out is if all allies that can apply translation are defeated, all stacks of translation expire. That's some verbiage here that pretty much says if C-3PO is also on the field, translation is going to stick around until C-3PO and Tech are both gone. So that's something to keep in mind, but I don't think most of us are going to be using C-3PO on this team once we have all the Bad Batch clones in-game. Now I wanted to visit the developer insights about Hunter real quick. There wasn't too much in here to talk about. Most of this is repeating what's already in his kit, but there was a couple sentences down here at the end with the strategy and with the fact that I think is important to pull out a little bit. One is the maintaining buffs, specifically defense up, is going to be important for this squad. So the fact that they're specifically keying on that buff and extracting it, that is something that I think we need to pay a lot of attention to. The other part here is wanting to avoid pitting them against teams with frequent mass dispels. So that's part of the reason why I think CLS is going to be very effective against this team, because with CLS, you have 2 Dispels with Chewy and Chupio. And you also have a cleanse with CLS himself, with Han's ability to go first. I think it'll be very quick for CLS to start breaking apart this team. And I'm also thinking, with how important translation is going to be with this squad, I think Han is going to be very effective at neutralizing tech after the first turn. So the one thing I am thinking here, when I look at both Tech's kit and when I look at Hunter's kit, they both have 3 to 4 turn cooldowns. Those are massive cooldowns, and if that continues with the other Bad Batch characters, that means these teams could be very slow if Tech is eliminated from the field. I think they're still going to have decent basics. They have these conditionals where they can do double taps, but those double taps are only if there are debuffs on the field. So if they're not debuffed, then there's a situation where this team could be softened very quickly. So what I'm thinking here is that neutralizing tech is going to be pretty important. And then with teams with those dispels like CLS, you can clear that stealth and focus down on tech pretty quickly. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of taunt Wrecker has. I think with a persistent taunt, things might be more complicated, or if there's a certain amount of health equalization in some of these future kits, there's elements here that I think could make them more of a nuisance to deal with, but I'm just trying to look at where the puzzle pieces are falling into place between these two characters. Because what I do think is interesting about the Bad Batch characters is the nesting down elements to their kit design, where how each component fits in with the next one. And one final point about how these pieces are fitting together, there's one more shining hint at what is to come in regards to stealth. It says stay tuned for the remaining Bad Batch kits. It may be more useful in the future. I think that's hinting at a lot more than just what Tech just added to stealth. I think all of these characters are likely to possibly contribute in some way to a stealth synergy for these Bad Batch characters. Because one of the things to remember is how they're basically special forces. They operate under stealth and in secrecy, and I think that element we will be seeing with each of these characters, and we'll really see how these characters fit together as a stealth-based team. Now, usually with these talk videos, I do some gearing of my roster, but I'm working on Jedi Master Luke, so there's not a lot of gearing that I had planned to do. And in regards to the Bad Batch characters, another aspect to these characters, I guess, that I'm seeing is I think this is going to be a late game team. The gearing here is not awful, but he does have a lot of chirotechs, which slows it down a lot. And so what I think makes a bad character is multiple stun guns, multiple chiros. What we have with Hunter is multiple chiros, but only one stun gun, and a lot of the other gear pieces aren't that bad. So there's much worse characters than Hunter. He's kind of middle of the pack of character releases we've been seeing in terms of gearing. So and one thing, because of Jedi Master Luke, I had like 300 of these HoloLenses a week ago, and I used up every single one of them. I've been buying every one I see with my guild store currency and other currency as they appear. So we're back up to 60, but we went from 300 something to 0, relicking up other characters for Jedi Master Luke. We will apply this one. I think the next stage has a Chiro already, so I don't think we're going further than this. Or it might be a Gear 9. This is easy stuff. The other gearing that I'm thinking about doing for this week is maybe Watt. We need to get Watt higher for Jedi Master Luke once he's ready. And there's... So we're already using up all my HoloLenses. We'll apply that piece. We'll throw that on. We're low on that piece, but whatever. We'll stop here because here's the Kairos already at gear 9. We're not ready for that stuff. But what I think I will do this week is Watt and maybe another character. We need so many Kairos for Jedi Master Luke that I can't afford to bring Bo along any further or take up Hunter a little bit. But what we can do is Watt here I will take up to gear 12. It's a bunch of stun guns, but we've got plenty of those, I guess. And the other thing I think I'm going to do this week is I'm starting to work on these other characters I want to bring up to relics now that I'm finally done relicking characters for a Galactic Legend. But I need to soften the blow of all those bad relics to my roster, so I want to get these other characters that are good for other reasons. The other character that falls under that category is, I've been wanting, not that Kylo, been wanting Kylo for a long time to bring him up further. Both Crew here and Kylo Ren have been at gear 11 forever, and it's also just a testament to how much work you can get done with gear 11 characters, and when you delay bringing certain characters up to gear 12, you free up so much gear to gear up other portions of your roster. That's why my roster has been so deep for so long, because this has been fine for the most part. Like, gear 12 is not going to make them any more successful up against JTR. You got to get to relics before that becomes an issue. But right here, we'll put on this piece, do that upgrade. Actually, let's take a look at Crew. Maybe we take him up too. Eyeball, Carbonti, another stun cuff. I think we're really low on stun cuffs. That was one thing that... Oh, we're low on that piece too. Yeah, we're gonna hold off until I think about that one some more. Yeah, that's all the gearing we're doing this week. Going to be fairly light on the gearing until we get Jedi Master Luke unlocked, then it's going to be gearing him up. So thank you for watching. I'm really liking how these Bad Batch characters are coming together. I think there will be a lot of fun to play. I think they're going to be complicated to use. I think that's going to be they're going to be very relevant to light side Geos. Probably at best a Grievous counter. I think standard squad matchups are going to happen a little too quick for them to be great, or the conditional elements are going to be too complicated to get working in those types of situations, or they'll be easily countered on defense. So I think they're going to be at best an offensive only kind of team, but that doesn't mean that they won't be plenty usable and fun. So thank you for watching. Be safe out there, everyone, and be excellent to each other.